Good afternoon everyone, and on behalf of the Lancaster Lit Fest Board, welcome to our final event in this, the 42nd Lancaster Literature Festival. At LitFest, we're committed to delivering a varied programme of events across multiple genres within the literary world. After a successful opening weekend, LitFest 2020 unfortunately had to be cancelled due to COVID-19. So for this year's festival, the board has had to be creative and innovative in developing a programme of events which are diverse, inclusive, free and totally online. Thanks to support from Lancaster City Council, Arts Council England and the National Lottery, we have been able to put together an online festival which has included a variety of free events to suit all tastes and ages. The funding streams and support have also enabled us to run projects encouraging more people of all ages to read, create and share stories in Lancaster and beyond. But we need your help. We want to be able to continue to run high quality events and projects all year round, to run more projects to connect with audiences and to provide paid opportunities for writers, illustrators, storytellers and other artists, many of whom have faced unprecedented challenges during the past year. To do this, we rely on donations from you, our audience. So once you have enjoyed this event, please consider gifting via our website or via the donation button towards the end of the event. However big or small, anything you can afford to give will be very much appreciated. If you have missed any of the events from this year's programme, you can view them on YouTube via our website. So, to this afternoon's event, Mind the Gap features Emma Rucastle, a Lancaster-based theatre professional with wide-ranging experience in educational, community and professional theatre. Emma works locally and nationally and is one of the makers of Lancaster Fun Palace, a free community celebration of arts and sciences held annually the first weekend of October. Mind the Gap is an audio story collage based largely on emails, headlines and to-do lists from early 2020, juxtaposed with conversations and communications. It considers where we've been, where we are now, and where we might be going. It is thought-provoking, challenging, funny and sad. And it is a fascinating record of our current moment. So, sit back, listen and enjoy.
Mind the Gap, an audio collage of myths, tales, poetry and verbatim contributions reflecting on life before and during the pandemic and what might come after. Created for Lancaster Lit Fest 2021 by Emma Rucastle. Voiced by Patricia Barnicott, Phil Chandler, Sarah Cox, Sean Cross, Andrew Dakin, Margaret Ives, Reem J. Mohammed, Ansi Jogi Jacob, Miles Kinsley, Jessica Louise Lightbody, David Novell, Malik Luther, Trinity, Chrissy Ogilvie, Deborah Powell, Emma Rucastle, James Smedley, Tim Tranter and Brian Vogt. Music, Pagan Cross by Sean Ivers.
What about
2020?
COVID-19. Testing place.
coming?
Australia bushfires.
PPE.
Social distance.
George Floyd.
Rainbows.
Clapping for the NHS.
Harry and Meghan.
What about coming?
Global pandemic.
Very dramatic year.
There was a time when everything was still.
Once the spirits of the earth were asleep, and the great Father of all spirits was the only one awake. Gently he awoke the Sun Mother. As she opened her eyes, a warm ray of light spread out towards the sleeping earth. The Father of all spirits said to the Sun Mother, "Mother, I have work for you. Go down to the earth and wake the sleeping spirits. Give them forms." The Sun Mother glided down to earth, which was bare at the time, and began to walk in all directions, and everywhere she walked plants grew. After returning to the field where she had begun her work, the mother rested, pleased with herself. The Father of all spirits came and instructed her to go into the caves and wake the spirits. This time she ventured into the dark caves on the mountainsides. The bright light that radiated from her awoke the spirits, and after she left, insects of all kinds flew out of the caves. The Sun Mother sat down and watched the glorious sight of her insects mingling with her flowers. However, once again the Father urged her on. The Mother ventured into a very deep cave, spreading her light around. Her heat melted the ice, and the rivers and streams of the world were created. Then she created fish and small snakes, lizards and frogs. Next she awoke the spirits of the birds and animals, and they burst into the sunshine in a glorious array of colours. Seeing this, the Father of all spirits was pleased with the Sun Mother's work. She called all her creatures to her and instructed them to enjoy the wealth of the earth and to live peacefully with one another. Then she rose into the sky and became the sun.
In January 2020, I remember hearing about a handful of people dying from pneumonia due to a new virus detected in China called coronavirus. I didn't pay it a great deal of attention at the time. Fast forward 8 weeks, and we all know what happened next.
At the beginning of 2020, I was more concerned about the consequences of Brexit than about the reports of a strange new virus that was causing havoc in China. I was looking forward to at last being able to see the Oberammergau Passion Play and to going to Switzerland for the wedding of my great-nephew.
I planned to go for walks with the U3A around Kendal in 2020.
At the start of 2020, we were looking forward to a potential trip to the US after my daughter and son's respective A-levels and GCSEs.
At the start of 2020, the top of my wife and I's to-do list was my son's christening in April 2020. Godparents were approached, invites made, caterers secured, and we had all our dates booked in with Rivington Chapel.
2020, we want to play outside.
I'm not a big New Year's resolution kind of person because you never know what life will throw at you. But in 2020, I signed up with the milkman and also got myself a veg box delivered every Wednesday. I wanted to avoid Amazon too. That was hard. I wanted to stop eating meat. That was easy because I still had coffee and chocolate.
2020 was going to be the year I became financially solvent and stable. So my to-do list as a freelance arts practitioner was messy and busy, involving lots of travel and lots of people and performance.
A very dramatic year in America was dramatic from the start with the first impeachment of Donald Trump. Combined with the spirited race for the Democratic nomination for president, the show went on and on and on, rising to a crescendo that culminated just this past January.
Please don't inject bleach. Outcry after Trump's wild coronavirus claims prompt disbelief.
Oh God, not Trump again. When are we ever going to be rid of those divisive sound bites? And still months to the election. Please, please, not another 4 years for my poor country. With a somewhat indecisive heart, after 50 years in the UK, I applied for citizenship.
Weird year for me, 2020. Anyone else?
Pentagon releases UFO video.
Tom Hanks says he has coronavirus.
Weird enough, but what about Tom Hanks writes to a boy called Corona who says he's being bullied?
Nice guy, Tom Hanks.
Brexit? Who thought anything could be a bigger story than that?
Megxit?
That hasn't gone away.
And Brexit has.
Be careful what you wish for 2020. Brexit hogs the headlines. Brexit every day, Brexit with its deadlines. Please make it go away. 2021. COVID's killed so many. Randomly it slew. What I would give for any piece of Brexit news.
And what about Cummings?
Cummings? Goings? And an endless cycle of lockdowns, partial lockdown, incomprehensible rules, and more insane headlines.
Cummings drove to Barnard Castle to check eyesight.
Monday night, toilet roll fights. Sport in the age of coronavirus.
How to have a successful park date while staying 2 meters apart.
Not to mention homeschooling.
How's your homeschooling going? Parents share their homeschooling fails.
If you'd asked me what the hardest part of battling a global pandemic would be, I'd have never thought it would be teaching primary level maths.
I told the kids we're starting homeschool at 9 a.m. and they're all hiding from me in their rooms with the doors locked. So is this winning? Feels like winning.
Homeschool today included detention for calling the teacher stupid.
Endless days.
How daylight came to be. Long, long ago, there was no light. There was only darkness. In those days, the ant people worked very hard, but sometimes they would go looking for food and could not find their way home again. Sometimes they would hear heavy footsteps, and a monster would reach into their homes and steal and eat their babies, disappearing into the darkness again. This monster was the grizzly bear. Even now, bears will sometimes dig up the nests of ants to eat their larvae. There was one person, Ant Woman, who was smarter than all the rest. If we had light, we could see to work. We could find our way home. We could watch for the monster bear who steals our children. Ant Woman decided to go to the house of the Creator and ask for light on behalf of her people. It was a long and dangerous journey. She did not know it, but Bear followed her to see what she would do. "O Creator," she said, "give my people light so we can see and work." But before she could finish speaking, Bear stepped in front of her, saying, "Don't listen to her. Don't give this little bug person what she wants. I want it always to be dark so I can sleep and be cool." The Creator replied, "There will be a contest, a dance contest, and the winner will get his or her desire." Many people came from the 4 directions to see the dancing. They brought all sorts of food to share with one another. As soon as Bear saw all the different kinds of food, he became very excited and began to eat. But little Ant Woman fasted. She concentrated on praying on behalf of her people. She pulled her belt tight around her waist so she would not feel hungry. Finally, it came time for them to compete. She stood up and told the people, "I am Ant Woman. I dance for light." And then she did a fast dance, pulling her belt tighter and tighter. When she had finished, Bear stood up and wiped the crumbs from his lips, saying, "I am Bear. I dance for night." Then he did his slow and lumbering dance. When he finished, he went back to eating. For what we would now call 4 days and 4 nights, they danced against each other. Ant Woman did not eat during this time, continuing to fast and pray. She pulled her belt tighter and tighter. Bear stood up to dance against her, but he was now so fat and so full he could hardly move. He was so tired and sleepy. "I am Bear. I dance for..." And then he fell asleep right in the middle of his dance. He began to snore loudly. "Little ant has won," said the Creator, "but both the ant and the bear are my children, and I love them both. For that reason, I will give them both what they wish for. Daylight for the ant people, so they can see and work, and nighttime for the bear, so he can sleep and be cool." And so it is today. We have day and night because of the wonderful little Ant Woman.
Never known days as long as they were in 2020.
I resolved to cut my work hours, drink less, play more guitar, learn how to juggle and pick up a new language. All done.
2020. This year we will get a new shed. Already postponed by circumstances for 2 years, I'm beginning to feel that if I don't get the thing built soon, I won't get full value from it. However, it'll see me out, as they say around these parts.
The virus began to creep nearer and nearer. My sister-in-law began to think about revising her will, as there were rumours going around at the start of March that we were about to see a surge in infections and would probably have to go into lockdown. As we now know, these rumours proved true, and the national lockdown started on March 23rd. The Passion Play was cancelled, and although Daniel and Marina did get married in a civil ceremony, they decided not to hold a big reception.
We only managed 4 walks before lockdown. Now, at the start of 2021, the walking group is not meeting, so I just go very locally alone or with my husband. My singing group was also cancelled in March 2020 and is not allowed to recommence yet. I really miss my singing.
Our trip to the States has now been downgraded to the hope of a cottage in Scotland together, which will be ace, otherwise unfulfilled gigs.
We were supposed to perform our work, Taking the Time, in Stockton. It's about slowness and mindfulness, delayed gratification, remembrance and commemoration. We are still waiting until we can perform it. There's some irony.
In 2020, we made rainbows.
2020 was the year I retired, so I was really looking forward to travelling. With the end of the pandemic in sight, I am really looking forward to travelling in 2021.
My to-do list for a long time has included vague ideas to move to France or Spain in a few years and open a business. 2020 has brought reminders that life is short and unpredictable. So 2021 brings a resolution to stop faffing and start planning.
After a year of living in the shadow of the virus and with foreign travel still uncertain, the main item on my to-do list is to be able to see my sister-in-law again. I wonder how many people have suffered collateral damage during the pandemic by trying to do things on their own in lockdown instead of asking for help. My sister-in-law went up into her attic to search for a copy of her will, fell down the stairs and broke a collarbone. After a stay in hospital, she was discharged into her own home with a care package, but then had another fall and this time broke her hip, which necessitated another stay in hospital and eventually transfer into residential care. And of course, no visitors.
To-do list 2020. To master opening a carabiner one-handed. 2021. Learn to read tea leaves.
January 2021 is a haze of rehashed lockdowns, more rules and changing regulations. Lockdown version 2.5. Tesco Big Food Shop now considered a day out.
I feel your sound has surrounded me. I feel your love all around me. And I am a part of you. And you are a part of me. I see your flag waving up high. You are the only place where I wanna be. See the river Nile pass you by, watering all the plants. Reading your history is enough to make me smile. You are the only place that makes me wild. Sudan, you are in my mind. I will be back to you even if I go blind. Sudan, you are my assigned home, even if all the stars aligned.
Australia ablaze is one of the headlines I remember most from the start of 2020. And even now, after COVID and everything, I can still picture the images of those bushfires. I think that was the most important news story, really. And I hope we start to recognise that more and more and act.
Though I am missing travel enormously, I think the fact that we have been travelling less, especially flying less, and fewer commuters, must have been good for the environment. I really hope so. I'm retired, so no commuting for me in any case, but I'm in no tearing hurry to get on a plane again, and definitely not a cruise. I want to research sustainable travel and be responsible for my plans and actions.
I signed up to Happy Eco News during lockdown, a weekly bulletin of good news stories focusing on the environment.
10 million trees planted in 2020, with a commitment to 13.5 million in 2021.
After 2 weeks trekking through the forests of Bolivia, Scientists discovered 20 new species, from frogs to butterflies.
The US is beginning 2021 with a new national park.
The Green Man is as authentic as any myth can be. The story almost tells itself. The spirit of ancient woodlands, the enormous quiet of a different, wilder, less terrible world. You can see him lurking in the church. You might glimpse him striding through the forest. He is strange and strong and leaf-crowned. The fearsome forces of civilization might try to bury him, but his roots are deep, and he will not die.
He is a mystery, but he has not left us yet.
Our ancestors said to their Mother Earth, "We are yours." Modern humanity said to nature, "You are mine." The Green Man has returned as the living face of the whole earth, so that through his mouth we may say to the universe, "We are one."
At the start of 2020, front of mind for me was finishing a decade-plus master development plan for my organization that was culminating with a 100,000 square foot Center for Science, Art, and Education. I work with an amazing team who've been bold, imaginative, dedicated, and also kind, empathetic, and inclusive. We've reached extraordinary heights, and the future seemed assured. And it turns out that it was. Rare among similar institutions around the country, after an extended lockdown and plummeting revenues, we didn't lay off a single person. Nor did we cut salaries and benefits. So the big shift in my mind was going from the anticipation of seeing a dream come true, being atop a mountain, to a deeper sense of satisfaction that we took care of people in a time of fear and need.
On my to-do list for 2021 is being a better, more active ally to the Black Lives Matter movement.
In 2021, we will be helpful. We will be kind.
The wise man of the village. In a village by the river Nile, there lived a wise old man. He would spend his days watching the flowing river and listening to the cracking of the Sagia water wheels. Over the years, his reputation for wisdom had spread up and down the river, so that many people came to seek his advice. Around his gardens, he had borrowed various amounts of money. If anyone wanted to borrow some money from him, the old would lend each according to their need by directing him to a particular spot where some coins were buried. The old man only asked that the person should pay back the money when they felt able by placing it in the very same spot from which it had been taken. Amongst the people of the country was a merchant who did not value the favors of others. One day he came to the old man and asked for 10 dinars. Because of the loan, the merchant's business prospered. He said to himself, "I will not pay the old man back. My profits are large, and I will never have to go begging to him for help again." In any case, that old fool has probably forgotten all about the loan by now. Days, months, years passed by, and the merchant's fruitful business withered and died. He said to himself, "I will go to the old man. I'm sure that he will not recognize me after all these years." He found the old man sitting as before in his garden. As the merchant approached, the old man welcomed him and asked, "What can I do for you, my son? You are well known up and down the river for your wisdom. I have come to ask you for some money," explained the merchant. "There should be 10 dinars hidden there," replied the old man, pointing to the very spot from which the merchant had taken the money all these years before. Down and down he dug, but there was no money to be found. At last he gave up and returned to the old man. They told me you were wise, but that spot does not even have a millimy, let alone 10 dinars. The merchant began to complain bitterly. The old man held up his hand and simply replied, "If you had repaid it, my son, you would have found it."
In 2021, I'm going to try to swim in the lakes more. I say that every year. I hate feeling cold. I'm also going to sleep over at my dad's every Friday after work. I will do that for sure, as we lost my mum last year. Not COVID. I'm writing little haikus for my friends and giving or sending them chopsticks. Light, cheap to post. Win-win. I'm also trying to archive the past, scan old photos and letters, get it all on OneDrive. This may be manageable, as there ain't much of a future to plan right now. But top of my to-do list is get my vaccine. 21st of March, 5:50 p.m.
Top of the to-do list is getting our vaccination, so that we feel able to go about our day-to-day lives confidently post-COVID restrictions. Then the simple things will mean everything. Visiting family, taking my son to soft play, the zoo, and giving him other important experiences, and going out for a meal. All so very missed.
His to-do list after lockdown. 1. Get shave. 2. Get shower. 3. Get fed. 4. Watch telly. 5. Go to bed.
Her to-do list after lockdown. Buy a season ticket. Can they survive the drop? Jimmy Choo's size 7 from that designer shop. Book foreign holiday in Italy or Spain. Ring up Bob the Builder to fix that window pane. Meet my friends for coffee, a catch-up and a chat. Renew my gym subscription. Got to lose this fat. Take my mother shopping, but must be M&S. Judy could come with us and pick herself a dress. A new nail bar in Blackburn. It's doing 2 for 1. And while I'm being pampered, I'll have my barnet done. Join local theatre group for social intercourse. And tell my useless husband I'm filing for divorce.
I want to be able to spend more time with family and friends in actual person, rather than by Zoom. Looking forward to all of those simple pleasures, eating out, going to the pub, browsing in bookshops, etc. I have long valued such things, but COVID-19 has made them seem even more special.
In 2021, we will stay outside. In 2021, we will see our friends.
You know what? We still need that new shed.
My 2021 to-do list is still messy and busy, amazingly so after the quiet, scarily quiet times of 2020. Financially solvent, I am not. The dream of 2020 has remained elusive and is now further away than ever. But I'm so much better off in so many ways than so many.
2020 was a creative year. We made rainbows and other window decorations. We did online dance workshops. My husband started writing poetry and I improved my photography. I just hope, going forward, that this spirit of creativity continues in all of us. Creation is the lifeblood of community and connection. We've never needed it more, as there's still a lot to do.
What about
At the start of 2020, we're looking forward to a potential trip.
family?
My daughter and son's respective A-levels in GCSE.
Friends.
We're looking forward to a trip
Loss.
Very dramatic
Love.
2020, we were looking forward to a potential trip to the US after my daughter and son
Vaccine.
GCSEs. Reflection.
Very dramatic year.
Reflection. Reflection.
Thanks, Emma, for an illuminating and moving story, and I'm sure we will all be able to relate to the experiences in some way. We at LitFest hope you have enjoyed listening to today's final event of our festival and any others you may have accessed. If you have missed any, you can catch up on YouTube, and there is a link on the LitFest webpage for each event. To enable us to deliver and create future projects and festivals, we need your help and generosity. Any donation you can make, big or small, will enable us to work on future festivals, so please gift via the donation button or via our website. Thank you so much for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.